Hey, how's everybody doing this evening? I want to talk about an event that took place for me about 15 years ago. And that event was, I got sued by Skechers. And it's not clickbait, I really did get sued by Skechers. Skechers is a $4 billion company. They're the second largest shoe seller, can't say that, in the United States. And I got sued by these guys. And it was a serious lawsuit. How I got sued is because I was making a product they claimed was infringement on their patent. It's called the Sports Energy model. I was selling little roller shoes that had was a knockoff of that design, which I didn't know at the time. Had no idea. I was buying them through China from people over there, and I had no idea they had knocked off one of Skechers' designs. But it wasn't a perfect knockoff. It was just close. But Skechers sued me anyway. But the reason I want to talk about this, and we were able to settle the lawsuit. And the way we were able to settle the lawsuit is because in the discovery process of getting information to defend myself, I had to, one of the claims they were making was that I was depriving Skechers of their profits. So whatever shoe I sold could have been sold by Skechers because it was the same looking shoe. And so Skechers is saying, hey, you stole our sale and we want to be paid for that. So in the process of me settling the lawsuit, I had to know what their profit margin was. And their profit margin was massive. If you knew what they paid for their shoes, and I don't even remember, and plus it wouldn't matter, it's 15 years ago. If you knew what they paid for their shoes, you would die. What small amount Skechers was paying for those shoes at the time, which they were selling for in the United States at a tremendous increase of what it would say. So when you say you don't want to do business with China, you have to realize how little these people, or used to be 15 years ago, were being paid for their work. I mean, it's a communist country and these people are not paid very well. So if you take that manufacturing away from China and give it to the United States, especially in something like the shoes, you will see that they don't get paid very well. So it's a very low standard of living. And it's low enough, I don't think most Americans would want to do it. So it's a real problem. And like I say, I know this because that's the way I was able to settle the lawsuit. They did not want to disclose the profit margin they had because if that was publicly addressed in a lawsuit or made public in a lawsuit, it would make Skechers, everybody would say, wow, they're making a lot of money on these shoes, or they have a tremendous profit margin on these shoes. So that's the way we were able to do this because they didn't want to disclose it and make it public. So when you know how little these big manufacturers make for the products coming out of China, you realize why these companies have made so much money. And they're not going to give that up and let that go to the American worker. And I don't even know if the American worker will want to accept those low wages. And if they do, I mean, let's say the American workers accept the low wages. Most of our country goes in a poverty lifestyle because they're living, I mean, they talk about working at McDonald's or working at Burger King, working at fast food. I think you'd make a lot more or less manufacturing shoes in this country, especially at the prices of which I saw back in 2002. So anyway, the trade thing with China is a big mess. These jobs are not coming back because of the low wages they're paid in China. And if they did come back, it would raise what we paid for our shoes and everything else that we buy that's manufactured in China, because our prices would skyrocket. So it's either you have low wages or you have expensive products. There's no way to solve that problem. It's either or. And I don't know right now if it's the best system or not. But anyway, from my experience, what we buy from China is very inexpensive, and the American public probably benefits from that. So I hear all this talk about not doing business with China or throwing companies out that do business with China. Think again, because that's a massive amount of products that we buy. So like I say, I kind of got experience of how cheap things come out of China by buying them myself and also seeing how much Skechers made on their shoes. So anyway, I just want to talk about my experience. I was able to settle a lawsuit and able to settle it for, reasonable amount of money, of which Skechers was able to keep silent or not be able to have to disclose how much they paid for the shoes that they sold in the United States. So anyway, I appreciate you watching.